Okay guys, what we've done here, we jumped a little bit ahead because we don't have all day to show this video, but what I've done, it's an important thing whenever you take one of your old pinions down, be sure and save the shims that came out of your old your pinion gear, because this is a good starter to be able to space your bearings back apart again. Make sure that though that this has to go through a process of where you got just a little bit of preload on your bearing. I've already done this. I had to take 1,000 shim out of it to get it back for this new pinion gear I'm putting in. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to assemble this up, set it up, and get it ready to put in the gear. Guys, there's another thing I do. You know, we have to put the yoke on and really tighten it down to be able to find out how much preload we have in the bearing. But here, we've got a really neat press set up here. So what I can do for just a little bit of pre-testing before I put the snout on, I can start the press up, preload it here, and I know pretty close whether or not my bearing spacer is right. So that's what we're going to do now, is just come down, hit it. As you can see right now, this is showing tight. Final test is going to be, I'm going to put the yoke on now. If it had been loose, I would have taken some more shims out of it. If it's just tight, I'm going to actually go and try a preload test on it now. So we'll be moving over to the vise to do this. Guys, another thing to do during this preload test and everything, always use an old nut this way, because your new nuts have some Loctite built into them. Always save an old nut around just to run these preloads with, and that way you're not messing up your new nut, because normally you don't hit it the first time. So what we're doing now is just coming in, we're going to throw quite a bit of torque towards this just to make sure that we're close on our preload. As you can see, I've got a little bit of preload on this, and this is what I'm looking for. What I try to do is make sure it's just not spinning free, but it has no tight spots in it. Like I said, I'd already set this up once, so I'm just showing you right now how I set them up. Again, it won't turn free, but I just got just a little bit of preload in the bearing. Okay guys, we finally got the pinion set up, got the preload in it the way I want it. And we're getting ready to install the pinion into the 9-inch forward housing. Already installed the bearing. I've done a little bit of work out in front of it. I already set the preload on the bearing. I've set the backlash. So the shims I've got in here right now are the ones I'm going with. Make sure when you put your O-ring in, make sure you oil the O-ring and oil the housing, because you don't want this O-ring rolling on you. I just use a little slight with a handle, goes right in, get all my bolts lined up, and I will take the bolts back out at a later time and Loctite them. We're just still a little bit of the final gear set up, so we will make sure that we got everything set correct before we do any Loctite. I normally wait to the very end. I take a bolt out one at a time, go back and Loctite, and that way I'm assured that everything is where I wanted it at. Again, go ahead and snug these down, because now we're going for the backlash on the ring gear and pinion. So we want everything pretty well location where it's going to go. So now, again, I make this little gear stand here. It makes it really neat. Anyway, a little bit more work to be done here. So anyway, we flip it over. It makes it really neat, guys. Make you something where you don't have to fight these things on the floor all the time. Next little trick we got going on, and this is a mistake that's made a lot of times when I'm putting gears together. Um, the spanner nuts that go in each end of your gear, for your backlash in your gear, are very important. I just had a good friend of mine the other day, had one and he got cross-threaded, didn't realize it, and was out doing some testing, and the bearing loosened up on him. So what I do, is I set the ring gear in position. Try to get the outer cups on the bearings as close as I can get them on. Just sort of get everything in somewhat of position on it. The next thing I do is I take the spanner rings, and guys, I always use a little bit of never sees on it. It doesn't take much. I've already had some on here because I've already done some pre-setup. And I will take and go ahead and put the threaded areas together and get that part rotating. The next thing I do is I put the cap on. Here's the real telltale on it. It will not let you put it on wrong. And whenever I say that is, if you put this down and just tap it lightly, if you look here and there's not a gap in there, that means your threads are lined up perfect. If you have a gap there, that means your threads are not lined up. So we're going to do both sides the same way. I've got the other, a little never see on this other one. Never sees, especially when you get ready to start torquing these, you want them to turn free where you don't have any binding in your backlash. Again, I set it up the same way I did the other one. Everything seems to be correct in it. Put the cap on, and yes, both of them are down. Now I take the cap nuts. And this is something, I don't know how other people do it, it's something I found out really works real well for me. Is I take the cap nuts, I don't torque anything down until the final, I'm satisfied with the backlash and everything on the gear. I want those to be just a little bit snug, but not too snug. So I mean, I just want them barely snug. Just make sure my adjusting nuts are not binding on it. The other thing I made me a special wrench to fit the spanners. They're aggravating. I file on this thing all the time. The spanners don't seem like there's no two of them alike. The only thing I'm going to do right now is I'm just feeling the backlash a little bit. Now wait for that spanner. You notice how easy everything turns here. Now, I don't have any backlash in this gear at all, so I just snuck this one up on this side. Now I'm going over to the other side here. You lube these spanner nuts a little bit. It makes everything really work smooth whenever you get ready to start setting your backlash and everything. So I've got about 10 pounds of torque on each one of them right now, just guessing, but I know right now my backlash is just a little bit too tight. So the beautiful thing is, when I back off, I can feel it back off on this side, and I can really feel that the gear is sliding really easy. You'll notice now, I got just a little bit of backlash. I listen for the noise. Of course, as you know, I've run polished gears. It's just, I don't know whether it's that important or not, but these are my King of Hammer gears. I want to make sure I've got the best equipment in this front and rear end I can get in. This happens to be the 9-inch front. I run 9-inch in the front. But I shoot for 11 thousandths back plate. I run just a little bit looser than what's recommended, and that's just to be able to try to keep some heat down in these gear cases. for these long runs.